Hello and welcome to Sporting Jibberish. I'm Stuart Booth, and as you may notice, something different about today. That's right, I've had my hair cut. For you, those that are listening on the podcast, that will make absolutely no sense. If you're watching it on YouTube, it makes perfect sense. Good trip, actually. You'll also notice that I am on my own. At this point, need a little violin playing, a little song all by myself. I think Jack said I think he said he sneezed twice and can't make today. So fortunately, I'm flying solo. Matt Aldrin was supposed to join me, but I believe he's getting his comb over sorted. So unfortunately, I'm all by myself and Larkin's looking after the baby. So on today's show, I'll be talking football. I'm going to say this now. Absolutely no room at all because it's a really packed show for cricket. We'll talk a little bit about golf, and then on this day, hopefully at some point when Matt has combed his hair over, he may join us later on in the show. We're going to start with Sporting Week. As some of you may be aware, is Jack's murmured about what's going on with his cricket. It is official. He has now left Exiles. Okay. He's got a current new project coming up, but what we're going to do is we're going to save all that for when he's back on the show and he can tell you a little bit more about the information. Myself, back in action this week. Say back in action. In theory, I was there. Maybe in person, not so much, but good to get back on the sheet. We played a strange team, I would say. They had a reputation before playing us this week, as their previous game was actually abandoned because of, I think somebody called it fisticuffs. When people say fisticuffs, I can just imagine this action happening. So yeah, they were abandoned last week, and when they played us this week, I now know why they got abandoned last week, because they think they're the masters of the dark arts. But unfortunately, when you play against a group of Englishmen, senior Englishmen who have experienced, their arts don't quite work as well. So they tried a few little naughty things here and there. Didn't go their way. We're actually 1-0 down, 1-1, managed to get on the score sheet. He's back. Went 2-1 down. Then I missed a penalty. Less said about that, the better. And then it all kind of got a little bit tasty, but dead bizarrely, as they were trying to kick us and pull us and push us, catching them a little bit back, a little bit naughty back. And then they cried like big babies. And eventually, at one point, they had 2 players sin-binned, went down to 5 men, tried to sneak a player back on, thinking or hoping the referee couldn't count, especially in a 7-a-side game. Bizarre. Which resulted in a big argument and the referee walking off with about 7 minutes to go, blowing the full-time whistle, and awarding us 3 points. Great victory. Take anything at my age with regards to victories. So good to be back on the football pitch and back playing a little bit. Performance-wise, not so good, but slow and steady wins the race, as they say. Slow and steady. Right, okay, we're going to start with a little bit of football. Okay, so we're just going to run through the Premiership, have a little bit of a chat about the Premier League, what's currently going on, and also with regards to top 4 title race. Well, I say title race, just the top 4 race, as that's taken a nice little twist in the last 7 days. So we'll run through fixtures from week 37. Manchester United drawing 1-1 with Fulham. Interesting aspect from that game was the fact that De Gea replaced Henderson. Does that signify that maybe Henderson's not quite up to the mark? I don't know, read into that what you want. And then also Bailey was chucked out of the team. They brought the young lad in, and they're going to try and pronounce his name because I'm going to Scooby-Doo out to say it. So we'll just leave that there. But all in all, nice little result, I think, Fulham to send themselves off with. But also Scott Parker, has he done enough to maybe warrant himself staying in the Premiership with another club next year? Some jobs open and available, as we know. Southampton 0, Leeds 2, secures Leeds top 10 place, which pains me to say. It means I owe Matthew ordered a coffee, even though he did say top 4, then top 6, and then I did allow him the top 10. So good result for Leeds there. Brighton 3, Man City 2. Looked like Man City were going to cruise on to quite an easy victory there, up until the point where Cancelo then decides to get himself sent off. City leading the game. Brighton came back. Great result from them. This was the one that Matthew Ordered was supposed to cover. He may still come on the show and may talk a little bit about that coverage. which would be interesting because everything he disrespectfully said against me, saying how good a player Ben White was, is now reversed. So I really want him to come back on the show and just basically eat his words. The big game of that night was the Chelsea versus Leicester one, the replay of the FA Cup from 3 days prior. Chelsea walking out with the game 2-1, which put Leicester in a whole world of trouble and gave Chelsea a great chance of finishing in that top 4 for the Champions League. Quite interesting, Maddison was subbed, and as he was going off, I think the Chelsea fans were singing, "You're just a something Mason Mount." I think the words are, "You're just a not very good Mason Mount." Maddison's response was to hold an imaginary FA Cup up. Decent banter. Moving on to the Wednesday fixtures, Everton 1, Wolves 0. It's pretty much a game where nobody's really interested. Everton potentially still pushing for that European spot, which they wouldn't have known at the time was that Spurs were about to capitulate against Villa. So a good result for Everton with regards to that. Newcastle 1, Sheffield United 0. I think the mainstay from that game is that Maximum, when he's on it, looks a player, and surely Newcastle are going to really struggle to keep hold of him come the end of the season. There'll be plenty of clubs looking after him. I think that he would be a nice fit at Liverpool. He's similar style players to what Liverpool have currently got and go for. So maybe that's something that Jurgen might be looking at. As I mentioned before, Spurs 1, Aston Villa 2. Spurs, in Jack's words, were just awful. Villa fully deserved the 2-1 win and, in fact, could have won the game by more. Crystal Palace, which is such a shame, Roy Hodgson's last game at home in front of the fans, losing 3-1 to Arsenal, down to some last-minute goals. I actually seen some footage this morning that Arsenal fans had actually managed to sneak into the Crystal Palace end, and there's a group of about 8 of them sat together celebrating when Arsenal went 2-1 up. Very brave. But then I also thought that maybe this is probably where, well, it's definitely where football and rugby completely separate themselves, is that rugby fans will sit anywhere inside the stadium and it's accepted, and the fans around them have a laugh and a bit of banter. Meanwhile, football fans just turn very aggressive, and you know what? We all want to watch some live football, so maybe we need to take that into consideration, and maybe we start thinking about we don't want to beat each other up, and maybe we need to think a little bit more about, you know, let's just have people in, have a laugh and a joke with them, wind each other up, give each other a bit of grief, but just accept that you lose or you win at the end of the day. Game Liverpool-Burnley, which is the one that I foolishly stayed up for. 11:15 start, finished at 1 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, interesting game in the fact that Burnley had a couple of half chances. I think Wood misses an absolute sitter, which could have put Burnley 1-0 up, and that could have just changed the game completely. Liverpool just looked like what they've been doing pretty much all season, just stuttering, creating chances and not being clinical enough. Salah guilty, Mane guilty, as well as a few others, but Bob's probably scored what I considered probably the worst shot of the night. But I suppose if you hit the target, you give yourself every chance. Puts us 1-0 up. Good to see Phillips get on the score sheet with a good header. I'm sure that'll mean a lot to him being through the academy at Liverpool, and a local lad to the area. He's actually Bolton based, but quite local to Liverpool. And then Ox coming off the bench and actually scored a decent goal. Keeper probably didn't cover himself in a whole load of glory, but end of the day, Liverpool vital 3 points, which then moved them back into the top 4. And the other game, which again for West Brom didn't really mean anything, but for West Ham was that push for that European spot. West Ham beating West Brom 3-1. Actually, Declan Rice stepped up to take a penalty. Doesn't normally take penalties, and actually openly admits he's no good at taking penalties. Took one, hit the post. It seems a very, very strange decision to make if you have a non-penalty taker. So I've no idea what went through people's minds for that. So leading on to this last game day on Sunday, 23rd of May, everybody kicks off at the same time. So in Dubai, it's a 7 o'clock kickoff. So for you guys at home, that'll be a 4 o'clock kickoff. Arsenal play Brighton. Nothing game for either club. Villa versus Chelsea, massive game for Chelsea. They must win in order to secure their top 4 space. I could actually see Villa doing something there and really upsetting the apple cart. Fulham versus Newcastle, again, another game that's probably just seen at the end of the season. Leeds, West Brom, again, neither team can move position from a result there. Leicester, Spurs, which is a tasty tie because Leicester desperately need to win. So if Chelsea win, Leicester win and Liverpool win, Leicester have to beat Liverpool's goal difference. So I think just a 6-0 win will do for Leicester to ensure the top 4 place. And I'm sure Spurs will probably want to go out with, rather than a whimper like they did against Villa, maybe finish on a bit of a high. Probably be Ryan Mason's last game, and according to rumours, it's going to be Harry Kane's last game. And if that is the case, I'm definitely going to throw this out there now and say it'll be Gareth Bale's last game, because why on earth would he want to come back? So that's a tidy fair to watch. Liverpool versus Crystal Palace, and again, I think Palace will probably want to give the manager a bit of a send-off. So I don't think Liverpool will have it just too easy. But again, Liverpool at home with fans is a different beast in comparison to Anfield completely empty. So I can imagine that might be, I'm not going to say a high-scoring game, but I can imagine Liverpool will probably cruise away 2 or 3-1 maybe in that game. City, Everton. City, again, it'll be all preparations towards the Champions League final now. So they'll probably play a second team, but the second team will still beat Everton. Just the fact that Pep's got such a massive, vast squad. Sheffield United, Burnley, if there was ever a game to avoid, that would be the one. West Ham, Southampton. West Ham, as I mentioned before, still going for them places. And United, Wolves. And I think United, again, will have one eye on that European fixture in order to keep themselves nice and sharp and steady for that match. As we mentioned in talking about Leicester, Chelsea, the FA Cup final was obviously over the weekend. Interesting question I'd love to ask Leicester fans is, at the beginning of the season, would you have taken, or would you take now, an FA Cup win or a top 4 finish? It is something I've sat and thought about. It's a difficult one because I think for fans, the day out aspect is such a big part of football, and winning a trophy is a massive part of football. But to get Champions League football, it just takes you into that next level of teams, isn't it? You could be playing against the likes of Juventus or Real Madrid or Barcelona, and you'd much rather see them come to your ground rather than maybe an FA Cup win. So I think for me, I'm going to go with the top 4 Champions League spot. Interesting. I might ask, well, we'll put it out there. Leicester fans, what do you think? FA Cup or top 4? Around Europe, things haven't quite finished the season around Europe. There is still Champions League spots going on within Italy. Juventus are on the verge of not qualifying. So Ronaldo, despite this big move and the new manager with Pirlo in charge, could end up playing Europa League football next year, which wouldn't be something they probably aspired to at the beginning of the season, especially with how well Atlanta have done. So interesting to have a look around there. And then the other biggest one is the Spanish one. So it's now officially ruled out Barcelona cannot win the league. They're done and dusted. So the trophy is definitely going to Madrid. But which Madrid? Personally, I would love Atletico to win it. I do hold a bit of a soft spot for Suarez, but probably not as much as when he came back to Anfield and acted like an absolute tool when we beat them a couple of seasons ago. But I think Suarez to win it and do so well with Atletico would just prove Koeman wrong in releasing him and getting rid of him. The guy's still got a lot to offer. And obviously, that's proven with the amount of goals he scored. And plus, we've got an Englishman there, haven't we? Kieran Trippier. So I'd really like Atletico to win. And it's nice to mix it up a little bit. Like every now and again, different team wins the league, a bit like Liverpool. So yeah, that'll be an interesting climate to the season for them, and this is happening all this weekend. So we'll find out who qualifies in Italy for European Champions League, and also the winners of the Spanish Cup. Okay, over the week we've had the playoffs. I think for us particularly, mine and Jack, we particularly followed Lincoln City. I actually spoke to Jez on the evening that they played Sunderland. Wish them luck, and I don't think in anybody's mindset with that Lincoln have done amazing to get to the playoffs, and then even more so the fact that they've actually managed to turn over Sunderland in the first leg. So great result for them, winning 2-0. In the other playoff games, we have got, we'll go with the Championship. Bournemouth, quite comfortable 1-0 win, which will be an interesting second leg because Brentford are a decent outfit, especially with Tony up front, or Tony, however you pronounce it. We'll just call him Ivan. So I don't think that tie's completely over. I think Swansea have done enough now. They don't usually lose a lot of games at home, so 1-0 away win at Barnsley is probably going to secure them a place in the final. Blackpool have probably secured their place in the League One final, beating Oxford 3-0. I think that's a dead and buried. Newport County also won their leg in the League Two game 2-0. And as I mentioned, Lincoln City won their game 2-0 at home to Sunderland. But I don't think when you play against a club as big as Sunderland, I don't think you can actually rule out 2-0 is enough. So that'd be quite interesting. But if Lincoln have proved anything this season, is that they've got fighting spirit and they will always score goals. So hopefully we'll see Lincoln Blackpool in a player final, which probably not many people would have predicted beginning of the season. And the other League Two player final, which obviously has a little bit of connection for me, is Tranmere 1, Morecambe 2. Connection there is Ben Lavelle, who I used to play football with. I used to work with the county team with. His son Sam Lavelle is actually captain there. So they've done really well to lead the first leg away, 2-1. So good luck, Sam and the boys over there. And the second legs are, the first one is tonight, Blackpool versus Oxford. And then on Saturday, we have got Brentford, Bournemouth, Swansea, Barnsley, Sunderland, Lincoln. And then the other ones finish off on the Sunday games. So it's Morecambe, Tranmere, Forest Green versus Newport. So good luck with all the teams in there. As we have a little bit of vested interest in a few of them clubs. So ideally for us, I think, or for me, I'd like to see Brentford, a new team, get into the Premiership. That'd be good because they've come so close in the last couple of seasons. Maybe it's their turn. And then from League One, I think Sunderland might turn it around just because of the potential players they've got. But I'd love to see Lincoln City do it back-to-back promotions. And then from the league below, I'm going to go with Morecambe just for that link I mentioned before. Roy Hodgson officially retired from football, or has retired or given his notice in. So his last game was against Liverpool on Sunday. What an achievement. This guy has managed all around Europe. And it's really bizarre because he's done Italy, I think Switzerland, England with some absolutely massive clubs. And to still go at 72 years old, I doff my cap, my friend. I say my friend as if I'm his mate. But what an achievement. Yeah, he's not really set the world alight with Crystal Palace. He did okay at Liverpool. But end of the day, what an experienced guy. And to think now, if I was still working at 72, not a sniff. I'm trying to get out as close to 55 as possible. But yeah, that shows just an absolute passion. And Richard Keys was saying the other day, I don't think he's finished. Come on, Roy, 72 years old. Go and enjoy your retirement, my friend. Go and chill out, get yourself on the beach. Come and have a blackcurrant and water with me and Jack in Dubai. You're more than welcome. So Roy Hodgson, well done. So that was one of the jobs that's available that I mentioned before. So we've got Crystal Palace job available and the Spurs job available. So the big question now is who's going to take them spots? Are good young coaches going to be given the opportunity? Because let's be honest, Crystal Palace, you could look at Scott Parker and maybe look at how he's done. Potter at Brighton, would he see Palace as a step up or a sideways step, or because Brighton are building such a big project down there, is it a case of worth risking to go up to Palace? So who replaces somebody at Palace? Because they're not exactly. They've got a decent fan base, but the capacity crowd's not massive. They've got an all right squad. You're basically just going in to a team where you're aiming to just stay clear of relegation and get as close to 10th place as possible. How many managers want to do that? Maybe it's a case of a championship manager stepping up, or as I mentioned, is a young up-and-coming manager might want to fancy his chances at this. So I couldn't say who'd want to take that job. Maybe Parker might be a good fit for it. We'll see. But then the Spurs one throws up all sorts of interesting permutations, because if Kane is going, then that throws Spurs into a whole world of trouble, because as I see it, as Kane goes, Bale's on loan. They're going to ask Bale to come back again potentially for next season. Why would Bale come back? I don't see him wanting to come back, because if you've lost probably your best player in the team, why would you come back? And then it also throws in, how are Dele Alli and Son going to react to this? Are they going to stay? There's rumours that there is another sale over to Napoli, the Argentinian midfielder. I always want to say Lo Celso, but it's not him. It's the one that Luffers hates. It's the attacking midfielder. Name's escaping me at the second time. I'm sure I'll come back to it at some point. But yeah, there's an opportunity for him to disappear after Napoli. You've got an aging goalkeeper, Lloris, who has passed his best. Alderweireld is a good player, but again, past his best. Legs have gone. Reguilon, hit and miss, I think, as a left back. Very, very temperamental and a bit like your right back, Ario. Dyer can be good, but I don't think you're going to get consistent levels from him throughout the season. Centre midfielders, Højbjerg does a job, but only breaking things up. Your attacking options are little. I like Ndombele. I know Jack's not a big fan, but I think there's potential with him, and I think you could grow him into a very, very good centre midfielder in the Premiership. But unfortunately, he has that French mentality, and you're never quite sure what is going to turn up on the day. And then you go forward, you've got Dele Alli, Son, you've got the young lad Parrott that could come back. I don't know how well he's done on loan this year. But where do you go with that? Spurs have not got a good record of investment buying players. So last time they sold Bale, they actually just invested the money in absolute average players and never benefited from it. So that then Kane going, Bale going, and then potentially opening the door for Son and Dele Alli to look elsewhere. What type of manager is going to want to come and take over there? Because that is a complete overhaul. And exactly how much of that 150 million, if it's 150 million, is that manager going to get to spend on new players? So shouts there are potentially Scott Parker. Graham Potter wouldn't be a bad shout, because what he's done with the Brighton players and the way they play football is an attractive style of football. So he's proven with average players getting better out of them. So that might not be a bad option. And there's also talk of Ancelotti coming over from Everton. But Ancelotti's built a decent squad there, so I'm not quite sure why he would potentially move over to a project that seems like it's a little bit in disarray. So interesting, and we will watch this space with regards to that. But yeah, let us know your thoughts. Who do you think would be a good fit for Spurs, and who do you think would be a good fit for Crystal Palace? And then if one of the teams does lose, so Brighton, where do they go? Do they go for an Eddie Howe? Will be interesting. Right, a little bit of football gossip. Okay, we have been told, unconfirmed sources, that the deal with Harry Kane and Man City has allegedly been made, and that deal has gone through. If that's the case, then that's the league gone for the next 3 or 4 seasons, because how do you stop Man City with Harry Kane, who's going to score 20 to 30 goals a season? I think that then becomes very one-sided league, and then everybody's going to be playing for second place. It'd take an unbelievable season like Liverpool's or Leicester's in order to probably try and oust Man City. But yeah, if that goes through, then that's going to be shocking for everybody else. But I think United have potentially ruled themselves out with that, with the fact that they've decided to sign Cavani. Chelsea could still come in for him, but what did Chelsea do then with Werner? What did they do with Giroud? And then what happens to Tammy? Would Tammy end up being a mid-table team like at Villa, potentially back at Villa? So we'll see on that. Other areas of interest, just to let you know, is that Man City are talking about offering Raheem Sterling another contract, so then that would take him up. Adam Armstrong, who's flying in the Championship with Blackburn Rovers, potentially caught the eye of West Ham and Fulham. And then there's also talk about, when we talk about switches and managers, is Sam Allardyce came out with a little bit of a rant, and I think he is going to announce his official tagline with regards to West Brom, but it looks like he's on the cards for leading. And Chris Wilder is potentially the favourite to come in and replace there. Chelsea obviously are always massively involved in transfers. They're looking at Niklas Süle, who's the big lad who plays at Bayern Munich. He's about as quick as Mertesacker, so he's slow as hell. So again, that'd be interesting, because if you put Süle in, that means you'd have to play a quick centre half with him. So then where do you play Silva? Because you definitely can't play them two together. So we'll see what happens there. Wolves winger Adama Traore, who's had an average season by his standards, has also, he's supposedly ending any type of transfer speculation by signing a new contract with Wolves. And again, I think Liverpool and Barcelona are the two teams that potentially link with him, which is a little bit of a strange one, because I think Liverpool are quite set in that, and I'd rather Liverpool go for maximum than somebody like Traore. The other one, the big one, is Aguero. Where is he going to go? And they said it's 80% done that he will end up at Barcelona. And the other one that just wanted, well, there's two others. There's two other lads out there that are drawing a bit of interest now. Harrison at Leeds, who is on loan from Man City, has had an absolutely tremendous season. I've done really well with them, but how does he fit in Man City's team? Harrison's a good player, but he's not a City player. He's not at that level. So I think there'll be a few decent clubs looking around after him. So really successful season with Leeds. I wonder if Leeds will try and buy him and keep hold of him, or if another team, somebody like Everton or even Spurs, that might not be a bad option. You know, as we're not trying to replace Kane, but as a decent investment in a player that's proven in the Premiership. So Harrison's one to look out for. And obviously the lad at Newcastle, Willock, has had absolutely massive impact, mainly from the bench, Deb Bizarrely. He's due to go back to Arsenal after Sunday. So does he see himself getting into the Arsenal team, or do another Premiership club go and say, wow, this lad has done really well? Done a lot better on loan than Maitland-Niles has, and Maitland-Niles at the beginning of the season was playing for Arsenal. So Willock and Harrison would be my two to have a look out for, with regards to potential players for a decent Premiership team. Not saying a top 4 team, but I don't know, Harrison, would he get in Leicester's team? There's an argument that says that. And Willock is a good young investment. Okay, enough about football for the time being. The new feature that Jack introduced is On This Day. So dead bizarrely, on this day in 1891, Australian boxer Peter Jackson and future heavyweight champion Jim Corbett had a fight which resulted in a no contest, basically a draw, and it went on for a grand total of 61 rounds. 61 rounds. How on earth two guys fight for 61 rounds? I'll never know. In 2005 was the FA Cup final. Arsenal beat Manchester United 5-4 penalties after an enthralling 0-0 game, giving Gunners the 10th championship. In 2006, a world record was broken. The Swedish ice hockey team Tre Corona takes gold in the World Championships, becoming the first nation to hold both the World Olympic title and the World Championship in the same year. And 2008, this one, good one for United fans, bad one for Chelsea fans, was actually the Champions League final between Manchester United and Chelsea, drawing 1-1 after extra time, resulting in a 6-5 win for United. If you remember, it was John Terry slip as he made connection with the ball. So unlucky John Terry. And that was when Chelsea were going for their first ever Champions League title. Moving on, as you'll be aware, the golf has started, the championships. Matt was actually texting me the other day asking me who I fancied for the US PGA Championships. I put Faldo. I'm not quite sure how well Faldo's doing right now. Let's just have a quick look who Matt selected for his two. He was going for Mickelson and Fitzpatrick, and Jack picked out Rory McIlroy. Well, Rory McIlroy, according to the start, has really struggled. Connors is 5 under after the first round. Selected others, Rory McIlroy +3. So good start. I think Rory McIlroy has got as much chance, Jack, as Nick Faldo has. So good shout out there. Moving swiftly on, we're going to talk a little bit about fantasy football. We'll finish off with a bit of fantasy football. Big results with regards to, we have got a few weeks worth of prizes to give out. So Matthew Hanif, congratulations on week 36, most points. So you've got a prize. Beat me by like 2 points. As close as I've come to a weekly prize. So Matt, you're a disgrace. Should have let me win. And this week's winner was Jamie Sullivan, which all leads up nicely because we also had the semi-final of the Cup with regards to Sporting Jibberish Cup, which was between Going El Loco versus Dad Bod. Dad Bod, who are currently in 7th place, won that semi-final and go through to the final. And they're playing Desert Dons, who are in 9th place, versus Mooms, who are actually ranked, the lowest ranked team. I think they're 70-something ranked team. Fortunately, Desert Dons won by 9 points. So Dad Bod 86 versus Desert Dons in the final of the Cup for the fantasy football, which will happen this weekend. So good luck, you guys. And then also, I'm just going to bring it up on my phone, is the current league status with regards to our league. Because remember, there's places for the top 4. So Blue Army, which is Chris Kelly's team, currently on 2,408 points. Well clear, looks like he's going to win it. So Chris, looking good for winning the overnight 2-night stay at the Raddison Red with discount, plus your own little hat. Awesome. And the best prize ever, brunch with me and Jack. Show Me the Money, Dan Barron, it looks like he is safe enough for 2nd place. 3rd place looks like, yeah, I'd say 3rd place looks quite safe as well. Jim Darby for Derby County. But then 4th place is very interesting. So at the moment, held by our Welsh friend, Tom Pascoe, with 2,309 points. Behind him, George Edwards, who's on 2,307 points, only 2 points difference. Still can't count out 6th place, Adrian Donovan, who's on 2,302 points. And then there's a bit of a jump between 7th, 8th place. So I would say that it's a bit like the Leicester-Chelsea-Liverpool game. Going to last weekend, it's between Tom Pascoe, George Edwards, and Adrian Donovan for that top 4 spot. As it is the last weekend, and we have got the Cup final competition, it's decided that best not to use Larkin this week because we don't want to give anybody any unfair advantage if people catch the show before they make the final selections of the teams. That is it. Quick show from me today. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I haven't, with my dulcet northern tones, bored you too much, but have a good day. But at the end of the day, get involved in the conversation. What do I know?